Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children.
Hello all, and this is a video response to calvin8hobbs, my good friend and a guy that I do respect, and I thought that since he took the time to make a video disagreeing with me, I would explain my disagreements with him, because that is what you do when you're on here and you have the means. You post a video response. But before I get into that, let's get into video responses. To all of you little bottom feeder morons out there that love to hate on me, that love to bash on me, that like to make videos attacking me. Now, I say attacking because you make fun of me. I don't care. Lots of people made fun of me. Oliver the Scott, who I consider a very good friend on here, makes fun of me all the time. I think it's funny. I have no problem with it. Lots of other people have made fun of me, and they're always like, I didn't mean to be like put you down or anything, and I'm like, man, you're making fun of me. It's okay. It's all in good fun. But when you come on here and you try to trash me, you try to bad talk me, you basically say you owned me and all this stuff, and then you fail to include your video to a video response, because it's basically what it is, to one of my videos, so that others may see it other than your just little collective group of Truthslayer haters, then I have a problem. And to all of you, I say, stop being cowards, send the videos, let us see them, let them, I'm not going to respond to them. You know why? Because I don't have to respond to them, because I have more than enough little minions, as Moral likes to call them, to take care of it for me, which is the reason why so many of you don't add them as video responses, because you don't want to deal with that, which, hey, that's fine. You want to be cowards, be cowards. To, I can't even remember this guy's name. I think it's Kid Striker 99. He posted a vid. He did actually do a response to me, which this isn't to the coward thing, isn't to him. But dude, I understand you're under the towel and everything, and that's cool and all. But if you're gonna sit there and say you're gonna spout facts and you're gonna give us the links to the facts, please give us the links to the facts, or else I'm just gonna tear you apart, which I very easily can, because trust me, dude, you know what 3 times 25,000 is? That's 75,000, and that's still a crappy buy rate. You know what double of $10,000 is? That's about $20,000. That's still a crappy profit. Sorry, that's the truth. Thank you. Later. Now to Calvin. Okay, Calvin responded to my take on the X Division and the fact that I don't like the X Division, and as the title said, kill it. Yes, kill the X Division. Why don't I like the X Division? Let me sort out his points. If you haven't seen his video, please go check out his video. It's a very good video. As always, he makes some of, without a doubt, the best videos there is, period. Puts a lot of my videos to shame, to be completely honest. That said, he talked about the X Division and the fact that, like so many of us, and I am one of them, the X Division is what brought them into TNA. And I agree, and I think that a lot of people, that's why when I say we need to get rid of the X Division, they're so, oh my god, because it's what got them into TNA. Here is my problem with that. Back when TNA started, it wasn't just about lighter, cruiserweight type of guys. It was also about the fact that these were the young guys that were basically going to take over the company at some point. That was the way it was pushed. That was the way that it was sold to us. And we saw that with AJ early on in TNA. The problem then stemmed from when they started bringing in bigger, more, what we would say traditional looking pro wrestlers. And those guys were not going after the X Division title. Not when they just had a bunch of, WWE cast-offs and guys that couldn't make it from WCW into WWE, and who, didn't want to work for WWE for various reasons and all of that. So you had this kind of older guys who were kind of like the main event. But you understood that at some point the X Division guys would be elevated to the top of the card. The problem that I now have with it is the fact that you have, like I said, you have these bigger, more traditional looking wrestlers who TNA's brought in. I have no problem with that. But the fact that you have Robert Roode, you have Kaz, you have Harrison Storm, you have Rhino, you have just those 5 guys in particular who have never gone after the X Division title, the fact that Abyss has never gone after the X Division title, all of that to me weakens the X Division title. They're expanding their roster. Now they're expanding the roster bigger than I would like, but even if they expanded their roster to 30 to 35 guys, their roster is now big enough to warrant a secondary title for the upper mid-card guys. Well, what happens if they do that and they don't use the X Division title? They basically say, okay, now we need a title for guys like Rhino and Harris and Storm and Rude and Kaz and all of the other guys who are good upper mid-card guys and who deserve some sort of title reign for some sort of title, but probably aren't up into the upper echelons of for the world title. Well, as soon as you do that, you've now cheapened the X Division title, because the X Division title is going to become a glorified cruiserweight title, and it is going to be a title about limits, and it's going to be a title about younger, smaller guys going out there and flying around. And so I don't see any point to it. Just go ahead and just get rid of the X Division title and bring in a TV title. You're not going to tell me that you're still not going to push AJ Styles. You're still not going to push Christopher Daniels. You're still not going to push Chris Sabin. Or let me think of some. The fact that Jay Lethal is over. The fact that you have these types of guys who they brought in. Well, if you truly want to push these guys, you could give Jay Lethal a TV title, have him go in there and wrestle some of the bigger guys. But if you have him face off with a Petey Williams, he's still going to have an X Division match. They're still going to have that type of match. Those guys aren't going to magically change the way they're going to do a match. It's just you're actually going to put them in there with bigger guys, which is a good thing in my opinion. Look at Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio legitimately, WWE has done a good job of when he's in there, even though he's the underdog because he's so much smaller than the bigger guys, you legitimately feel that he can pull off the underdog upset. Look at the last pay-per-view. That was one of the reasons why it made that match much better than anyone ever thought it was going to be. So you have all of that, and that's my problem with the X Division title, is I think it's outgrown its usefulness. That the company's grown to an extent now to where if they're not going to have those guys, those upper mid-card guys, go after the X Division title, then the X Division title is kind of useless and has now become the very thing that it was not meant to be, which was a division with limits, because now it has limits. So a TV title where you can still put it on a guy who's an X Division guy, you just have to make sure you push those guys. You have to make sure that you weigh the bigger, what in our minds we think of a pro wrestler, and the smaller, more athletic guys, you have to weigh, and you have to say, okay, let's push this guy. But you have to push those guys. The problem with TNA is the fact that they haven't been pushing those guys. Back in the and this will be a point for another video I'm going to do. Back in what promoters did with those guys back in like the 80s and early 90s they would be tag teams. This is why Shawn Michaels was a tag team guy. Shawn Michaels was considered very small and was not considered a guy that could legitimately main event anything. Same thing with Bret Hart. Bret Hart was considered too small as well. I mean, that would freak a lot of people out now, but that's true. So, and for that reason, he was stuck in a tag team. You usually stuck these smaller, talented guys in tag teams where it at least looked like it was somewhat believable to people, and that's where you use them. TNA's doing that with their tag team division, which is good. But like I said, if the X Division is not going to be a true, or if the X Division title is not going to be a true secondary title, which I don't believe it is at the moment because of the guys who are now in the upper mid-card, you need to do away with it, and you need to bring in another title. You're still going to have those matches. You're still going to have X Division style matches. There's no question in my mind about that. You're still going to have that. If you put any of those guys in the ring, they're going to have crazy, wild, high-flying matches. It'd be stupid not to have that. Those guys would still go out there and do a lot of the same things that they do against a lot of the bigger guys. It just has to, because they're not selling it. Unless they magically start having Storm and Harris and Rhino and these guys go after the X Division title, well, then it would work. But that's not going to happen. And so that's why I say, kill it, because it has outlived its usefulness. It is time to evolve past the X Division. That's just my take on it. I'm out. Have a good